Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Bill Selak Talks. My name is Bill Selak. This is me talking. And I'm continuing on our last back leg, the last few, what's the football or soccer or golf terminology, whatever it is. We're wrapping up this project, the Rising Decline Retrospective, where I take a look at my old punk rock band Rising Decline's second album that we'd never actually released. I talk about the song, connect it with education or technology or educational technology, learning and teaching and all that good stuff. And then you hear the song. So we are here. This is, let me open up my phone. This is track number 8. This is track 8 of 9. We have one more after this. I could just do musical terms. This is the penultimate episode. So I'm going to talk about track 8, and then the next podcast episode, you're going to hear track 8. This track is my favorite, I think. Second favorite, top 3. I don't know. It's a toss-up between that and the title track, Camden Road. It's called Hey, Mr. Corporate Plantation Owner Man. And this song, I also love just really, really long titles. Our first album, the one that we did, like a CD print of, one of my kids was like a CD. I should see if I have old CDs and like pop one of those CDs into the car, because our car still has a CD slot. But our first one, my favorite track from that was called the San Luis Obispo music scene is awesome, except for not really at all. Just love it. Like, you don't have to pay extra for more words for song titles. So this one, Hey, Mr. Corporate Plantation Owner Man. The story behind this, I think, is actually, you're going to figure out what the lesson is pretty quickly in this story. Brent, our singer, it was a friend that I think he worked with from like summer job. He was lifeguarding in Mission Viejo, and one of his coworkers, fellow lifeguards, was like, "Hey man, here's some song lyrics. I don't know what to do with them." I mean, at that point, I guess it was a poem, but he's like, "These feel like song lyrics, and I don't know. You're in a band. Here you go." And Brent was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." It was just like a full page of like stanza after stanza after stanza. And a couple of them like really, really stood out to him. And this is one of those where it went from like just pen on a paper from some random thing that was like folded 4 times in a pocket to like, this is a song, this is ready to go almost immediately. Like, so many songs are like, here's a draft, let's change this, what about the intro, let's look at the chorus, let's look at different voicings and harmonies for the guitar, the vocals, or whatever, between the verse and the chorus. Particularly with Rising Decline, I was like, can we have a fancy, like more interesting, more complicated thing, so it's not just like a song that anyone could write when they're 13. Although I guess that's part of the draw of punk rock music, is that anyone can play it if you can play a few different chords. And perhaps that's why our band never made it big. Perhaps. But it's usually all that complicated stuff, and just right away, Brent had some ideas. Marco, our drummer, comes in, and that's the intro. And then we're just all right in. That was pretty good with the toms and the snare. And just full tilt, just it's fast the whole time. There's a bridge, it's fast. The whole song is 1.5 minutes. So like, you could have already listened to the song like 4 times. Let me see. I have it here as an MP3. Yeah, 1.5 minutes. This was also one that was just so fun to play. There's just so much energy playing it every single time. Like at some point, if you played a song more than 100 times, more than 1,000 times, whatever, you're just like, all right, whatever. Like, this one felt new and fresh and exciting every time. And I wonder if part of that is because of that collaboration, that it was like, someone's like, I don't know what to do with this. Here you go. And Brent's like, oh my gosh, I have so many ideas from these words scrawled on paper. And so, like, what's the lesson, right? Where we're heading this. It's all about like more than just collaboration. It's about like really finding folks that like make you better and make the world more interesting. Do you have these people? And if you're listening to this, are these people also educators? For me, nearly all of my friends are educators these days, except for like old friends, high school, college friends. And they're most friends will share, say, a thing, and just like, whoa, what? Um, I don't know. Like some people just seem to be just like, oh, we'll just hang out. And I'm one of those where like I'm not texting friends all day, every day, or even every day, or even every week or month. But it's one of those where like when I get a text message from an old friend or any friend really, it tends to be like really interesting stuff. I'm just like, these people are brilliant. And so like how do we get there, or what do we do with that? I think like if you've been teaching a while and you have brilliant friends that are educators, awesome. You're like, cool. So like what's next? But I think it's also like looking back and also looking ahead of like, how do you do this? Like, how do you get those like really cool people in your life, in your profession? I think part of it's like super obvious, so I'm not here to answer really any of those questions. But for me, part of it was presenting at a lot of conferences. Cue the California Ed Tech organization, ISTE, the I guess international. That's what the I used to be, but mostly U.S. organization. And then just go into those conferences year after year after year, presenting year after year after year, and then pretty soon you spend like 4 days in Chicago, like you're gonna make friends. And so it's that. And I think once you do that and you keep in touch with those people and you can bounce ideas off each other, or like share a thing you're stuck on and be like, what do I do with this thing? Or I have this idea about a thing, or I heard you talking about a thing, and you build on the thing. Like I was just now talking in a group, and an old friend, Josh Stumpenhorst, who was keynoting ISTE, 10 years ago now? Who knows with time, but like awesome people. And you don't have to keynote ISTE to be an awesome person. He just happens to also be an awesome person that was like doing really cool stuff and continues to do really cool stuff. And so like in the group, he's like, hey, like, I'm doing cool stuff and makery stuff at our middle school. Like, what's the thing with like a custom chat bot? And then Kurt Reese hops in and he's like, oh, like my business has Microsoft Copilot and you can do like custom things. And then I was like, oh, Ramsey showed me about Poe.com, POE, where you can actually build your own custom bot. It's like also School AI. And, at this point, Jeremy McDonald and Nick Provenzano are both at School AI. Awesome dudes. And again, it's one of those where like I've known these folks for so long, and they continue to come up with just like really cool ideas and share really cool stuff, and also work at really cool places. In School AI, you can use Sidekick to like build your own custom bot, and then students can just walk up, engage with it, and be like, oh, I really love Lord of the Rings. What else might I do and read and whatever? That kind of chat bot, but like kiosk version of that. And so just being able to have conversations like that kind of whenever. And then also talking about like flooring at our house, we're not always like education. And for a while, this particular group, we're like, we're not allowed to talk about education stuff because we always did. And now we're just like, whatever. Inevitably, we will talk about being educators and education-y things. But that whole idea of just surrounding yourself with super interesting people that inspire you is, I think, such an important thing. And for me, like the early days of Twitter were that, back when it used to be, I think, a healthy space, an innovative space, an exciting space where we could find like-minded people. I don't know that exists online anywhere, certainly not on Twitter these days. But the idea of like trying to find people who not just inspire you, but like you can bounce ideas off of, right? And for me, that's such a lesson, 20 years, 20 years later from this song. It's just like some like cool dude you happen to work with. At this point, it was like at Lake Mission Viejo. You typically, you typically don't find good songwriters at random lifeguarding places. Maybe you do. I've not done that. Maybe that's just me assuming. But like working at interesting places, hanging out with interesting people, and just being willing to like, here's a thing. This reminds me a lot, and I think they definitely did it further than we did with this song, was Ben Folds, who's like one of the best piano players I've ever seen. Amazing songwriter, but I've heard him talk a bit about how he doesn't love writing lyrics. He loves writing songs, and loves writing melodies, but he'll often like write whatever lyrics to fit the song and the melody. And Nick Hornby, the author who writes novels, they did a partnership where Nick Hornby would write. He just writes. This is what writers do, right? So he was like writing every day, and he's like, write. This is a novel. Write. This is an article for a journal. Write. This kind of feels like song lyrics. And when he got to that like song lyrics bucket, he'd be like, hey, Ben Folds, here's a song. And Ben has shared that he just loves that idea of like getting to take someone who's like really, really good at the craft of writing, take that idea and then set it to music. And it just was like an instant springboard in a really similar way that I heard our singer Brent talk about this song, which was like, oh my gosh, I have so many ideas musically for these ideas you have lyrically. And it's so cool. I love that idea so much. And I think when I stopped writing a lot of music, it was because I stopped hanging out with people who were like, oh, here's a song idea, right? But if I get that, here's a song idea, or here's a chord progression, or here's some lyrics that I want to do something with, then I'm like, all right, now I can go. But for me, like the type of musician I am, I kind of need somebody to jumpstart that car. And if I can do that, then I can kind of hit the ground running and build on that and make a really interesting thing. For me, like that's how I show up kind of as a team person, as a musician. That's my new title, as a team person, as a musician. I love that. So my encouragement for you, think about who those awesome people are. If you've not kept in touch with them enough, this is a good chance to do that. Like right now, like as like the theme music starts to fade in, be like, who am I gonna just randomly text and be like, dude, maybe you don't say that if you don't live in California. I say dude and bro to almost everybody. Dude, you're awesome. That can be it, and just send it. If you have like random ideas and you're thinking of a friend or a colleague or a former colleague or whatever, just like send the thing to them, like the whole idea about bouncing ideas off each other and like throwing a thing creatively to someone to pick up and run with or not, like there was definitely no expectation of like, here's some song lyrics. You have to write a song. It has to be a great song. You have to record the song. That was never the expectation. It's just like, I'm not going to do anything with it. I just had these inspired lyrics. And collectively the band was just like, this is amazing. So that's my thought. Thanks for listening. My name is Bill Selak. This has been me talking.